Hi, my name is Dominica Rice, and I'm the chef and owner of Bombera restaurant in Oakland, California, and you're listening to Ingredient Insiders.
This is Ingredient Insiders. I'm John Magazzino.
And I'm Andrea Parkins.
On each episode of Ingredient Insiders, we will be talking with chefs and food authors about their favorite ingredients.
We then talk to the producer of that ingredient. We want to learn its history, how it's made, and why chefs love using it in their kitchens.
Well, today we're going to be talking about something simple, delicious. It's orange colored, and it grows in the ground. Do you know what it is?
Bugs Bunny's favorite vegetable?
Oh, you're very good, Andrea. Carrots.
Yes, we're going to be talking with Chef Dominica Rice. And she's from Oakland, California.
Yeah.
The chef at Bombera.
Yeah, I've heard it's amazing. Have not been.
She wanted to talk about carrots. There's a dish that's near and dear to her heart.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you eat a lot of carrots?
I do eat a lot of carrots.
Well, how do you eat them?
Usually, I think of them as like a vessel almost to get dips into my mouth.
Oh.
So,
Are you
hummus,
buying those bags of the like little bunny baby carrots?
100%.
Interesting.
Do you not? I mean, listen,
I
I
do
also
not buy
like
those. I do
ever?
not. I am opposed to them. I used to
Why?
buy them when my daughters were young and like
they're like
it was
kids'
a thing
food?
for kids. Yeah, but I totally do not participate. In fact, I don't really see them in the store anymore.
I see them all over the store.
Maybe I'm just not looking.
Wow,
but
you go to maybe adult grocery stores, John.
no, I just don't see those little baby, and they're not even baby carrots. Those things, those are carrots that
Yep.
were like put into a machine. But no, I love carrots, and I've gotten in the last whatever it is, like the last couple of weeks. There's a French carrot salad. Whenever I go, if I'm lucky to get to Europe and I'm in Paris, and you go to a really fine like butcher shop, they make this carrot salad, and all it is shredded carrots, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, and you can put a little bit of honey in there, and it's just the essence of carrots.
Yeah.
It's so delicious. We took a recipe off of the chef David Leibovitz, who lives in Paris. He's got this carrot salad recipe. I'm giving him the shout out for that. It's so good. It's addictive. I just eat bowls of it.
Ooh. I think, yes, I love eating, baby carrots with dip. But if you're, really talking, cooking them, my mind immediately goes Middle Eastern. So,
Yeah.
Roasting them with, a za'atar spice, topping them with pumpkin seeds or like a labna yogurt sauce, a lot of herbs. I think that carrots, for me, it's comfort, it's homey. It makes me think of the fall. Even though you can eat them all the time, for me, it's something that, I love making carrot soup. I put ginger in there, warming spices.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting excited, John.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun episode talking all about carrots.
Yes, we're going to be talking with Chef Dominica Rice and our friend the farmer, Sean Mindrum from Comanche Creek Farms in California.
A great farm. Comanche Creek is, this is like a boutique farmer of some of the finest stuff. We carry his products at our Greenleaf division in San Francisco. And I think it's also available across the country at Chef's Warehouse, all our produce divisions.
Yep, all of our produce, available at chefswarehouse.com. Can't wait to talk about carrots, John.
This episode is in partnership with the Chef's Warehouse and produced by Gotham Production Studios in New York City.
And I am so ready for this episode.
You are?
Yeah, I'm excited to be talking to Dominica Rice. She's joining us from Oakland, California.
Oakland in the house.
She's the chef owner of Bombera restaurant. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. And I'm obsessed with zanahorias, so pickled carrots, but it's a spicy thing. It's a spicy pickled carrots. So that's for me. I'm just like very excited to be here. Again, representing Oakland all the time, representing California all the time. But I used to work in New York in the 90s, back in 95 and 96. And I had a great time. It was amazing.
Where did you work?
I had two jobs. So I was working, I needed a stable union job because I was afraid I was going to get fired. I was a very young chef. So I worked at the Four Seasons Hotel. I was just like, I wanted to work for the best hotel in New York.
Yep.
And that was it. and worked for their restaurant. And back then it was 5757 was their
Yep.
restaurant.
On 57th Street. Yep.
And then on my days off, I was a winter intern the whole winter with at Danielle's on, I think it was like a random day, whatever random day I had off. So I'd work like a 12-hour shift for free. And the chef de cuisine was Alex Lee,
Yep.
who's an amazing chef in New York. And he kind of really helped me like, he was a really great teacher. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they weren't paying me. So it was like, they were a bit relaxed.
Yeah.
We got to get Alex on the podcast. Alex is a friend of mine. Alex taught me more about tasting and developing my palate than anybody in this industry.
Really? What?
Because every time I would walk in the kitchen of Restaurant Danielle to sell them a product or present a product, Alex would say, John, taste this. And then he'd say, now taste this. The same thing, whatever it was. If it was a peach, if it was a carrot.
Yeah.
He'd say, taste this one. Okay. And now taste this one. And by doing that, you understand the subtle differences in flavor and
ingredients.
And to this day, and I think Alex listens to the podcast, I always credit Alex with being somebody very influential.
Alex,
he also used to yell
listening...
at me too sometimes when I'd get in the kitchen, but that's a whole other story if the price was too high or he wasn't happy about something. So Dominica, tell us, so you were in New York for a while. Did you grow up in California? Where did you grow up? Mexican heritage?
You grew up in LA, right?
Yes, it's a funny story. I was talking to my mom. I'm Mexican American. My mother's Mexican American. And we both were born and raised in Chinatown. And then when she was like in high school, she went to this small part of near Pasadena that was called Eagle Rock. It's LA, but it's like the very last edge of Los Angeles. It's up against Glendale and Pasadena. And she went there for summer school one year. And so she's like, one day I'm going to live there. So she sent us there for like the rest of like elementary and high school. She had sent us there. And it's such a nice neighborhood because you're up against, it's like Glen Rock. So it's part of Glendale, part of Eagle Rock, Pasadena. So for myself, in the early 80s, like I was all about like, okay, where do I want to work? And I want to work. So I started working really young when I was 14. And, these small towns like Eagle Rock and Highland Park, there's not much there. So I had to leave. So I had to go to Pasadena. I had to go to Glendale to kind of see what, that was like had more fine dining going on.
Always there. In restaurants.
Always in restaurants.
I was going to ask, what was the appeal to restaurants? Like, how did you get into cooking? Was it your mom?
It's the whole family, actually. And that's why I'm wanted to talk to you later about this book I was reading called The Migrant Chef by Lalo Garcia and Laura Tillman. And there just talks a lot about what looks like my family history. My grandparents were farm workers and then at some point moved to Los Angeles after close to retirement age. And so that kind of changed everything for my mom. She never had that experience like her older siblings of growing up in the farm and being born in the farms of California, working the piscas. That's what it's called here in California. You work just for a few months for the harvest and you go to the next farm. So you're constantly like a nomad in California. Mm-hmm. Hard for kids. So for my mom, she never experienced that. For her whole life is Los Angeles. So I kind of thought as a chef, I'm like, and maybe I started off on the wrong footing as a chef because I was born in LA, but in reality is the best because you have so many different cultures and it's dreamy.
I think LA, I say this often to Andrea,
John,
I think LA to me is the richest culinary city in America, if not maybe the world. I don't know. That may be saying a little much, but there's so many different types of cuisine there. And, if you're looking for the best,
restaurants.
Asian type of cuisine, specifically from, Vietnam or Thailand or Japan, wherever it is, there's so much depth there. So then let's jump ahead. How did you end up in Northern California? You went to New York.
God, when I was around 19, I was deciding, I started seeing more women chefs being promoted in all over California. And I was like, okay, this can happen. I can actually, it wouldn't be a waste for me to go to culinary school and start my serious career. And then in the end, I will at some point become an executive chef, so I felt comfortable doing that. So I just made the decision. And at 20, I was already in the culinary program in San Francisco and, had the best time. I was very, very blessed and met so many people. And I was able to get to know more about like even Vietnamese ingredients. So it was kind of interesting growing up in Los Angeles. I was around a lot of Filipino ingredients, Mexican American markets, Chinese American, but in the Northern California, it was more Central American. So a lot of people from El Salvador. And I kind of feel like this obsession with the pickled carrots and
Mm-hmm.
as my favorite ingredients would be from kitchens from El Salvador. And you see a lot of that here in the Bay Area, especially San Francisco.
That's
Let's
awesome.
jump into those pickled
Yeah.
carrots because I love carrots,
Oh,
Andrea,
me too.
in every form.
Mm-hmm. Raw, cooked, grilled. I've never met a carrot I don't like.
But talk to us about pickled carrots. What is it about the pickled carrot?
In Mexico, you have a lot of that pickled veggies, especially you've seen them everywhere. The pickled jalapenos are super famous and everybody knows how to make their own pickled carrots. And you always kind of, as an accident or just to kind of like a mirepoix to flavor the vinegar that you're going to be poaching the carrots in, they add a little bit of garlic, oregano, onion, and carrot,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have that in every can. If you make it yourself, the recipe always includes a little bit of like the slices of carrots. But it's the main focus is always like these jalapenos.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're cut in rajas or left whole or split in half. You can buy them in all different kinds of ways. But in the Mexican markets, what I've noticed is they've even gone further. And I'm not sure how many years this has been going on, but I've noticed it more and more the past 25 years is that they'll just dedicate a can of the same jalapeno pickle liquid. It's like whatever they didn't package, they're just blanching all the carrots in there and canning it
Mm-hmm.
or putting it in jars, and it's delicious. I prefer it. I can make them myself, of course, but it's so nice just to have it in the cupboards. And they sell them in small cans, but I prefer them in cans, not jars, for
Hmm.
some reason. I think the
Interesting.
jars I've tried taste more Italian, which is also delicious, but their oregano is extremely different than the Mexican oregano.
Absolutely.
So, and a lot of people don't know about that there's just such a huge difference of oreganos that is really important to, if you don't have Mexican oregano from a Mexican market, I would prefer to use like a fresh marjoram
Mm-hmm.
herb and just call it a day, or just use cilantro and not
Yeah.
use oregano.
It's funny. I was reading in preparation for this. I was Googling, pickled carrots and Mexican pickled carrots, and these pickled jalapenos kept coming up, and I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like, what am I doing something wrong? And then I read this blog, and it was this, female chef who was talking about that the carrots within the pickled jalapenos were like the prize that
Yes.
she used to like fight with her siblings over who was going to get the carrot because that was like the tastiest part of the pickled jalapeno. So it all kind of made sense that this was very special. And is it like remind you of childhood at all, or is it something that you found in Oakland?
For me, like it was always in my grandmother's house.
Okay.
The and the pickles. I can't remember if she would make them herself. But that sweetness that it gives, it's kind of becomes like the blog and what you're saying. It's very kind of gateway drug to the jalapeno. So this is, I have a picky eater at home as
Okay.
my kid. And I've talked to other people about picky eaters. And I remember this one Mexicana mom talking to me about when she was a kid, her mom would just use, and this is what I do, is I put the pickled juice into things that I want spicy.
Mm-hmm.
So there isn't some big piece of jalapenos that are ruining their palate, but you're getting the heat into whatever, if it's a rice dish or if it's
I like that.
Yeah.
or if it's in a vinaigrette or if it's in a potato salad. And I kind of feel like I was like, it would be a nice ingredient for more people to look at in the East Coast because they're trying to like find ways to spice up a coleslaw, and that kind of Mexican oregano and carrots chopped in or just left in whole with some of the vinegar. And then in Americana cooking here in the US, we use a lot of pickle juice. We love it, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Oh
Right.
yeah.
And like for the best potato salads, always have some pickle juice. And
I was thinking martini. As soon as you
oh,
said it, like saving it, I'm like, could you make a martini with this?
Why not?
Why not, right?
yeah, my mind is not as sharp as yours, so
Oh yeah,
I'll
you're
get.
well, you're 3 hours behind us. So what
Well,
time
let
is
me.
it here? It's 2:45. It's
I,
martini time.
I want to say
Nadia.
it. We are so deprived on the East Coast of these great Mexican food products.
Yeah.
When I think if I go to anywhere in California
Mhm.
and I go to a taco, really like one of my favorite taco places,
Mhm.
they will have those bars, like condiment
Yes.
bars with all different types of salsas and pico de gallo. But the really good ones have those beautiful homemade zanahorias. And I
Yeah.
love that. And I've never contemplated like the brine for it is a
Right.
great ingredient. Like what a great flavoring. Can you walk us through exactly how you make yours? And we'll take we want your family secrets.
Yes. Well, I mean, my most of the people who were cooking at my house it was my grandmother, and she's from Chihuahua, Mexico. She's a desert woman, and she came here when she was around a teenager, and my grandfather is also a desert from Guanajuato. He's a desert guy, so it's a different kind of cooking in Mexico. It's mostly dried oregano, dried chilies, dried corn, dried meat like machacas, and then you go down to Mexico City and southern Mexico, down to Oaxaca or Chiapas, and it's so tropical. I mean, there's microclimates, and it's like jungles and red clay and like tropical bananas everywhere and guavas, but you don't get any of that stuff in the north. So it's like you can get it
Mm-hmm.
shipped in. So like the things that we do love are like this staple. And we do have a lot of in the north, this German, Spanish, Mexican, and indigenous diet that's all mixed together. And so there's a lot of cheese, a lot of beef, and a lot of red chili and beans. And I kind of that zanahoria, it's just you kind of make a little bit of a quick batch at home. I would do like maybe one jalapeno or one serrano pepper. And if you have maybe like 4 carrots or 3 carrots or 2 carrots, it's fine. And like one half of an onion. And that could be kept in slices. And a little teaspoon or half a teaspoon of oregano, dried Mexican oregano, or fresh marjoram.
Mm-hmm.
Something fresh would be very nice if you have that in the garden. And I would do the ratio for me would be around, I would start with 2 cups of water and um, maybe 3/4 cup of a white vinegar, something like a champagne vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm writing this down, John. Don't worry.
Okay.
start with 2 tablespoons of salt and then just taste it. I would add the oregano and about a tablespoon of olive oil and just taste that for a second and let's see how it is with acidity. You want it to be a nice sharpness, and everybody has pickles all the time and almost daily for me. So at that point, I would add the jalapeno that's cut in half. I would add also one garlic clove cut in half, and the onion that's been sliced. I would add that to your I don't know, court bouillon or your and just let that simmer for about 10 minutes, and then you can also at this point add a bay leaf. That helps. And then taste that and see how you feel. But as it's simmering slowly, you would want to be cleaning your carrots. So usually they're peeled and sliced carrots. And I haven't seen them in any other way. I haven't seen them julienned at all. So you can be cut on a bias, that's fine. But they're usually just straight on dead
Mm-hmm.
cut.
Like rounds or rings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prep that up. And then at the last second, then you can just add all of your carrots to this kind of hot court bouillon brine, pickle brine, and then just simmer it for like, God, maybe 3 minutes, and just cover it, and then take it off the burner and leave it alone, and just let it sit. Some people also will just pour it over a glass bowl of the carrots in the bowl
Mm-hmm.
and just let it sit. So they'll still be a little crunchy. They're not completely soft, but that for me is like the best. I love it. And some people, if you want it to go smoky on this recipe, you can add a little bit of chipotle chili powder
Mm-hmm.
or one dried chipotle to this. It will give that a little bit of like reddish color, and it'll give it a little, again, like that beefiness of that smoke
Mm-hmm.
of that pepper to the carrots, which is lovely. So you can have 2 batches of carrots.
It's so
Yeah.
delicious. And it's a great like healthy snack
Yeah.
too.
How do you incorporate the pickled carrots into the menu at Bombera at your restaurant?
Oh, well, I make a smoked trout tostada, and I never really would eat trout at all until I moved to like or smoked any of those smoked fishes at all ever in my childhood, zero, until I moved to New York and I started seeing all the smoked fishes and
Mm-hmm.
cold smoke and hot smoked. And so that kind of smoked trout kind of always stayed with me. I loved it so much. And so now I serve it on a tostada with the carrots and with an avocado. I make my own kind of it's kind of avocado with sour cream and mayonnaise and pickle juice. This is like the
Nice.
making like an aioli or something. I would add like a pickle juice to that, but a spicy one, you know, just enough heat. But it's like an avocado crema, and I put in and I serve that on a bed of arugula and a little bit of like toasted shallots on top. But the thing is, like, that is one of our really top sellers at the restaurant, and that's something I made just for Bombera restaurant. Before that, I had my restaurant for 10 years called Cosecha in downtown Oakland. And for us, I'm trying to remember what we used the pickled carrots there for. I think it was with the fish tacos. So at Cosecha restaurant, we were using that a lot, that kind of pickled liquid and pickled jalapeno as a garnish for the fish tacos, and in the slaw that would be in with the. So not everything has to be lime juice. So if you have a recipe and it calls for lime juice and it's not a margarita, then I would go for the pickle juice instead.
That's a great idea. I'm even thinking about like beer, like I'm going to say beer batter, but like battering fish. You can use some of the pickle juice, in that like standard breading procedure to impart flavor into the fish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've like really. I want to play around with that.
Definitely.
Exciting.
Tell us more about the restaurant. When did the restaurant open?
And what does it mean?
During COVID, I've been working on this project. So Bombera restaurant literally means female firefighter. And we're in the center of Oakland in a really beautiful neighborhood. It's Fruitvale, Diamond, Laurel. And it's like almost like 4 neighborhoods in one, which is really nice. And I used to live around the corner, and my friend's a firefighter, and he's like, "Oh, they're selling the firehouse. It's been abandoned for about 25 years." And so the firehouse has been there forever. It's always been a firehouse. It's changed design a few times, but it's like this it looks like an old gymnasium. So I started the process of changing the use permit, working with city council, working with my architect, and working with my bank, and deciding since 2017 to kind of slowly start changing this old 1-story long firehouse into a restaurant. And I was very, very blessed that we were able to get all of that done, even with COVID, and that my staff actually wanted to keep working with me and help me
That's
run it.
awesome.
Because I'm just like, okay. I also try to give them an exit plan, like for some of my cooks who've been with me forever. I'm like, okay, if you want to take over Cosecha, I can co-sign. We have 4 more years on a good lease. But, downtown has changed. So for me, I didn't have the energy to kind of crack that new code of what downtown needs
Mm-hmm.
as far as Zoom meetings and lunch. And before it was easier, but now it's a bit tough. And it's kind of coming back, definitely. But for us, we're kind of ended up moving to a neighborhood where most of our customers already live. So we're kind of closer to our home base.
Yeah.
So our regular customers were like, thank God you're here closer to us. We never go to downtown.
So it's more like
And
a
so,
neighborhood restaurant?
oh, yes. And it has a huge patio in front. So it kind of gives off that Los Angeles vibes,
Sure.
that and you want that kind of front patio. And we've been very blessed. It's been successful for 2 years. And this year we finally received our official Michelin Gourmand bib. So it's like,
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
so happy. So I'm just like, okay, we're on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about in the beginning of this conversation, you contemplated as a female chef, can I make this a career? And you end up, buying a firehouse and calling it Bombera, which means female firefighter. I mean, I feel like that's like the culmination of a female chef dream. You like achieved your goal.
100%, 100%. And then
What does that feel like?
No, it feels great. It feels great. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I think all my ancestors and gods every day.
I love that. Well, I have one question that I end every interview with, and I'm very excited to hear what your list is. But we ask each guest, what are the 5 pantry staples that you have to have in your home at all times, no matter what?
Definitely start with kosher salt or some kind of nice salt that's already kind of pre-ground, because I hate having to put it back in a mortar and pestle and grinding it up again. So if it's too coarse, but I cook a lot at home. I always have in the freezer. Doesn't have to be just pantry, because I freeze. I think of
fridge, freezer, any
freezers are good.
Yeah.
I have some kind of. I always try to buy bacon at the farmer's market and stockpile it in the freezer. So because my kids' favorite pasta is pasta carbonara.
Nice.
So that I always have some good parm. I have some great pastas and eggs, like some farm fresh eggs. And there's I go to the farmer's market every Tuesday for work and every Thursday. So I'm always picking stuff up for home as well. And then, but definitely some really good, I really am obsessed for the past 10 years. I've been using this Seca Hills olive oil. And there's the Native American tribe here in Catch Creek, Sacramento area, Yolo County, that they own, this huge acreage, and they do a lot of really great olive oil. And I have a jug of that. And if I can't get Seca Hill olive oil at home, I get another jug of olive oil from the farmer's market. Something buttery. I don't like any olive oils that are too spicy. I mean, they serve a purpose, but for my day-to-day go-to. So I think I'm like, all my ingredients are like in the Mexican.
I was gonna say, like you're
that was like an
Italian
that was the
pantry.
Italian. That was the you could make spaghetti carbonara with what you just described. Pretty much.
I would let Dominica make us spaghetti carbonara.
Oh hell yes,
any day.
Why not? Well, thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
We got to go visit when we're out in Oakland, Andrea.
Yeah. You can follow Dominica at Dominica Rice on Instagram and at Bombera Oakland on Instagram. And thank you for, This season of Ingredient Insiders is brought to you by Bazzini Nuts. Bazzini is the brand of choice among chefs in the finest hotels and restaurants. Their legacy of quality extends to gourmet retail stores, specialty boutiques, grocery distributors, and delis, ensuring you have access to their extensive range of consumer retail packages. It all started in 1886 when Italian immigrant Anthony L. Bazzini began selling nuts by the pound to bakers, street vendors, and individuals during the Great Depression. But Bazzini Nuts isn't just about peanuts. They offer a delightful array of nuts like cashews, almonds, pecans, pistachios, hazelnuts, and more, plus a tempting selection of dried fruit, including apricots, cranberries, figs, dates, prunes, and tomatoes. So whether at the ballpark, in the kitchen, or indulging in some well-deserved self-care, choose Bazzini Nuts. With a legacy spanning 137 years, they're here to serve your needs with the same consistency, reliability, and quality, making them an iconic name in the world of nuts and dried fruits. Bazzini Nuts, tradition, quality, and taste all in one. Taste the legacy today. So John, today's a special day.
Oh yeah?
We are at our NorCal Expo at the Oakland Coliseum.
Yes.
We're sitting in the officials room
Yes.
which is pretty cool,
Very cool.
with our good friend, Sean Mindrum.
Return visitor.
Yes.
When you have a celebrity farmer like we have here today from Comanche Creek, you get him on as many times as you possibly can.
And Sean, what are we talking about today?
I believe carrots.
We are talking about carrots.
Yum.
Do you like carrots, Sean?
I love carrots.
And how many different carrots are you currently growing at Comanche?
Well, I don't think we need to talk about varieties, but I would have to say as far as colors are concerned, I think we're probably growing probably 10 to 14 different colors. Now, there's probably, when I say that, probably 5 of those are just different shades of orange.
Are carrots hard to grow?
I wouldn't say they're hard to grow. I would say that it's super important to have very moist soil. That soil shouldn't be too clayey, and it definitely shouldn't be too rocky, or you're going to turn out with those nice little furry looking carrots.
Or those like odd shaped ones that look like little people. Right. Have you ever seen those, Andrea?
I've seen them on Instagram.
So let's talk about growing season. So carrots, when do you put those in the ground?
So we just put some in the ground about 3 weeks ago, and what are we in? September. So we're going into cooler months. So then you can come out of the cooler months and go into summer. So it's kind of, you're playing the best of both sides, but you definitely need the cooler temperatures for the carrots to either end with or come out with.
Mm-hmm. But they hold though. Like once you
correct.
Yeah. Do you put seeds in the ground, or you make little starters and then you put the starters in there?
Direct into the ground.
Seeds direct into the ground.
Correct.
And then how long does it take from start to finish for like the average carrot?
You roughly got about a little under 3 months for some, and you can go as far as 6 months for others, depending on the temperature of the soil and the temperature of outside.
I don't think we appreciate our produce as much as we should. Think about like when you buy a carrot at the market, you take it home, you peel it down, and then just like half the time I just eat it raw right at the counter. I was like, and it takes 3 to 6 months for that thing to grow, and here I am like a gavone at home just eating it in 30 seconds.
I was telling Sean,
we need to have more reverence for our produce.
I just planted 2 rows of carrots right before we left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in my garden. I wanted to try it.
Are they going to make it through the winter?
I'm hoping
you
that
need 3 months.
I know, but I'm hoping that, I mean, it's been so hot. I'm hoping that it's going to hold before the frost.
And I think you were about to ask the question I'm about to ask, which is, so after they grow, I've heard this before. Do carrots and like root vegetables get better if they sit in like a root cellar, or is it better just to consume them as fresh as possible? Or you just can hold them for storage?
The carrots will they'll get drier. And with anything, it's the sugars are going to overtake the water, and the sugars are going to spike up for a brief period of time, and then they're going to drop, and then you're going to have something that's dry and not very fun to eat.
Interesting.
Similar to like hard squash. Hard squash, certain ones are really good for almost 3 to 4 months out because the sugars get higher. But then, of course, then also you're going to be dealing with a drier product, and carrots are quite similar. Carrots, basically, they're great when you pull them right out of the ground, wash them off, let them sit for maybe a day, and they got a ton of water in them. But then as they sit, yes, the sugars are going to go up, but you're dealing with a drier product in your mouth.
Sean was a private chef for 38 years. He told us that on the last episode that we were on. But then, how do you know so much about farming? I mean, you've been doing this for how many years now?
It's almost 5.
Did you do your research before, or is this like a learn as you go?
This was learn as you go. The prior gentleman that I purchased the farm from definitely gave me some good start and hung around for the following year for me to kind of understand what he was doing. And then, like anything, even being a chef, you're basically what you're working around and who you're working with has more sometimes information and knowledge than you do. So to grab from what you already currently have and to bring those people together, you can work faster and stronger than if I was just to do it by myself. Similar to working in a kitchen, you might stumble upon the fact that the dishwasher is actually peeling ginger with a spoon, and yet I was using a peeler. So who would have thought?
Right.
So there's something that somebody else has more knowledge of. You just need to grab from all of them. That's pretty much how I've come to this day, being able to turn out the quality product that we are turning out, and for Greenleaf to purchase so much product from us. So,
And you grow organically, so no
100%.
no pesticides or anything inorganic or chemicals or anything like that, which is amazing.
No, we don't have any insecticides. We do purchase organic fertilizer, but even that we're going to start to wean out, because we can take our byproduct, and our byproduct can turn around and make compost. And from that compost, we can turn around and utilize less fertilizers, which basically inhibit the ground anyway.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Let's play a fun game that we've done before,
let's
which
do it.
I love to do.
Okay.
We're going to go through the calendar year in about 5 minutes or less.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the month.
Okay.
And then, Sean, I want you to tell me what's going on at Comanche Creek. What's growing?
Oh, we love this game.
What's either in the ground or coming out of the ground.
Okay.
Right? January.
Carrots,
Yeah.
cabbage, kales, rutabaga, turnip, parsnip.
Mm.
I just want to know everything they grow at Comanche Creek. That's why I asked the question.
That would probably be
Is
for
that February?
us.
Similar February?
February, you're looking at more some broccolis.
Okay.
Some brassicas are definitely coming out of the ground. Purple broccoli, dino kale. We've got deceasy, purple deceasy.
What's deceased?
Yeah. I don't know. What is that?
They're broccoli shoots
Oh.
or little florets.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much about it. March, now you're starting to look
Spring is
Yeah,
around the
it's-
corner.
sugar snap peas, English peas. You still have all the kales going. You're starting to look at lettuce now,
Mm-hmm.
braising mix, arugula, red mustard, dandelion greens.
I'm salivating.
I know. And this, okay, we're not even halfway through the year.
Yep.
April, May.
And now you're planting too, right? You're pulling and planting.
March, you're already turning around, and all your starters, from tomatoes to peppers that you started in December, are all starting to come out, depending on how cold the weather is and what's been going on. Our first tomato plant goes in at Comanche in usually March 15th.
Do you have a greenhouse to do starters?
We have 3.
3 greenhouses. How many acres is the whole
yeah.
farm? Yeah.
It's now, we started with 18 when I first purchased
Whoa.
Yeah.
it. Then we went to 40.
Oh, wow.
And just this year, we just purchased another 20. So now we're at 60.
Incredible.
John,
Look,
we need
wait,
to go.
I know. I want to. We have to go. All right. Wait. Keep going though. Let's April. we're getting to the
All right,
fun
May.
sun
Yeah, I
months.
know. Now
April,
I'm
May,
excited.
June.
So now we're in June. Now you have almost everything. Now you have probably the beginnings of the first red tomato. You've got cherry tomatoes for sure. You've got summer squash there at Comanche Creek. We've just reduced the amount of varieties, and now we're at 22 varieties of summer squash. And then we've got...
Are you talking like patty pans and all of that?
Patty pans, straight neck, crook neck, gold bar,
Zucchini, all of that?
safari, green zucchini, which there's like 9 different green colors. And then you've got
8-ball and all
that
8-ball, cue ball. Then we've got, what else do we say? Starburst, sunburst. There's a couple other ones I'm not thinking of right now. But yeah.
Okay,
All right.
so that's
now
June.
let's go to like
We're in the summer
July,
now,
August,
August.
September.
So now you're at your heirlooms. Usually around July 5th to 10th, we suddenly see our first heirloom come out of the ground, and we grow 42 different varieties.
Jeez.
Sometimes it'll drop down a little bit, but yes, we have some unbelievable varieties of heirlooms.
The tomatoes here taste so much better than just about anywhere on the planet,
100%.
in my opinion. Like, they're so good.
I have been around this planet,
Yep.
and I can't say that I've been to every continent, but I've been to a few. And I can say honestly that every time that I've been somewhere else, and I've been for a long period of time, I always want to come back to California because of the produce.
Yeah.
It hands down, it doesn't matter where it grows or how great it is. my little funny joke was the fact that the reason they have some of the best chefs in New York is because they have some of the crummiest produce.
It's,
It's kind of.
I think there's a lot of
Yep.
truth in that statement. The
Yeah.
raw materials here are so amazing.
And you're talking about the varietals, and that's really like yesterday, John, we were walking through that market,
The Berkeley Bowl.
the Berkeley Bowl, and the varietals in the stone fruit, the pluots, the nectarines, the peaches. I mean, you go to a market in New York, you might get a couple, you might have one pluot. There was like 4-6 different varieties here that you just don't get there.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
it's
actually, like when I texted you the picture of the pluot last night,
Yeah.
I thought, why can't we get this? Like, why isn't anyone moving it across the country? Because I think,
because there's a lot, and this is a whole other discussion
Yeah.
that we could have. And Sean, I mean, would be the first to chime in. There's the commercial, industrial
Right.
produce machine that is relying upon pretty looking fruit, and then flavor is an afterthought, and
Right, flavorless fruit.
and shelf life and looks are what matter. And that's unfortunate because what people who really love cooking and food and flavor
Yeah.
are not as concerned with how something looks versus how it tastes. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, in mass supermarkets,
We eat with our eyes.
Yeah, we eat with our eyes.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
50%
a
of
problem.
it. Yes.
well, I want
But
more.
then there are also a lot of things in California that just don't travel
Right.
well, unfortunately.
That's true.
To get, do you grow any fruits like apricots?
So when we first purchased the farm, we turned around and we planted 300 fig trees. We planted 100 persimmon trees. We planted pluots, plums, white nectarines, and yellow nectarines. And then that same year, at the very end of the season, the deer came and decided to chew on all those little things.
Yeah.
So
So then we didn't get any fruit, and this is our first year of fruit because we put up a big 8-foot deer fence around the entire farm.
amazing.
Yeah.
But the point is, like yesterday when we were in the Berkeley Bowl, I saw a basket of fresh figs. And when
You bought a basket of
it's
fresh
very,
figs.
yeah, of course. I was like going
I
crazy.
did too. That was
It's
my dinner.
very rare. I hate to say this when you're on the East Coast and you see fig, like either they might be as hard as rocks
Yep.
and have no flavor, or they're about to fall apart, which
Right.
isn't the end of the world. But you just don't see them in general because nobody wants to handle them.
It's
And
true.
the same thing with like a beautiful apricot and a lot of different delicate fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
It's the curse of the East Coast, Andrea. Except we get a couple of months of growing season there.
I was having such envy yesterday in that market for all of the different stone fruits.
Well, this has been another really great conversation. We
Yeah.
could talk for hours here, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting
Thanks
me
for
be here.
joining us.
Meet Iliada Extra Virgin Olive Oil, the liquid gold that transforms everyday meals into gourmet experiences. Picture this, a drizzle of Iliada Extra Virgin Olive Oil in a sizzling pan, the aroma of fresh herbs, and the sound of a perfectly seared steak. With Iliada, cooking becomes an art, and your dishes will dazzle every sense. Are you looking for a multi-awarded extra virgin olive oil that is ideal for every occasion? Try Iliada Kalamata PDO to cook and fry, or just sprinkle over your dishes. It's ideal for grilled fish, white and red meat, pasta, vegetables, sauces, and salad dressings. Top chefs, hotels, restaurants, and catering experts choose Iliada every day because it brings out the natural flavor of every ingredient. Don't miss out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Ingredient Insiders. Follow us on Instagram at Ingredient Insiders. You can find the products we discussed on today's episode at chefswarehouse.com or at your favorite specialty retailer.